What a night we had at the Estadio de Gran Canaria, folks. Barcelona might have walked away with a 2-0 victory, but let me tell you, this was anything but a comfortable stroll for Hansi Flick's men. The scoreline flatters them, and I've got to say, there are some serious questions that need answering about their performance tonight. Let's dive into that first half, because honestly, it was painful to watch if you're a Barca supporter. Here we have a team fighting for La Liga supremacy, and they're out there looking like they'd forgotten how to string two passes together. Just two shots on target in the first 45 minutes. Two. This is Barcelona we're talking about, not some mid-table squad trying to grind out a result. The crossing statistics tell a story that Flick won't want to hear, a measly 17% accuracy rate. That's just two successful crosses out of 12 attempts. I mean, when you've got a striker like Lewandowski in the box, these are the kinds of numbers that'll keep you up at night. And speaking of Lewandowski, he was isolated for large portions of the game, looking more like a spectator than the world-class striker we know he can be. Las Palmas? Credit where it's due. They came into this match with absolutely no fear. Remember, they'd already beaten Barcelona earlier in the season, and they played like a team who believed they could do it again. Molero, in particular, was giving Koundé absolute fits down that wing. There was this moment in the 26th minute where he cut inside and curled one just wide of the post. You could hear the collective gasp from the crowd. They thought it was in. I thought it was in. And honestly, it would have been no more than they deserved. The frustration was visible on the Barcelona bench. Hansi Flick, and I've got to talk about him for a moment, was prowling that technical area like a caged lion. You could see him getting more and more agitated with every misplaced pass, every wrong decision. And there were plenty of those to go around. The body language from his players wasn't great either. Lopez's reaction to being substituted at halftime, well, let's just say that's not the kind of thing you want to see from a player at a club like Barcelona. But perhaps the most telling moment of that first half came from the Las Palmas attack. They had this brilliant double chance around the 14-minute mark. Ramirez beating the offside trap, forcing a save from Szczesny, and then Marmol nearly converting from the resulting corner. It was a sequence that perfectly encapsulated the half. Las Palmas playing with purpose and intent, Barcelona looking vulnerable and uncertain. The atmosphere in the stadium was electric. You could feel the belief growing among the home supporters with every passing minute. And why wouldn't they believe? Their team was going toe-to-toe with one of Spain's giants, and for long stretches, they were the better side. The pressing was organized, the transitions were sharp, and most importantly, they weren't showing Barcelona an ounce of respect on the pitch. The halftime whistle couldn't come soon enough for Barcelona. And let me tell you, I would have loved to be a fly on the wall in that dressing room. Whatever Flick said during the break, and I'm guessing it wasn't a gentle pep talk, it sparked some change. His first move was bringing on Olmo for Fermin, and that substitution would prove to be crucial later in the game. But the second half didn't exactly start with Barcelona bursting out of the gates. There was this moment in the 50th minute that perfectly summed up their frustration. Rafinha going down in the box after what looked like a clear pull from his marker. The referee wasn't interested, and honestly, while there might have been contact, it felt like one of those situations where Barcelona were looking for something, anything, to break the deadlock. The tempo was all wrong from the visitors. They were playing like they were 3 goals up, just casually knocking the ball around without any real purpose. It was the kind of complacency that can cost you dearly in La Liga, and you could see the concern growing on the faces of the Barcelona faithful who had made the journey. Then came a sequence that really showed what Las Palmas were all about. They had this brilliant counterattack opportunity, and the shot just flew wide of the post. It was a warning shot, and it seemed to finally wake Barcelona up. The response was immediate. A lightning-quick break that ended with Yamal just failing to connect at the back post. That kid, by the way, has been an absolute revelation this season. His ability to beat a man and create something out of nothing is remarkable, especially considering his age. The game was crying out for someone to grab it by the scruff of the neck, and in the 62nd minute, That's exactly what happened. Yamal, again, this kid is something special, went on one of those mazy runs that are becoming his trademark. He picked out Olmo, and what happened next was pure class. The control, the turn, the finish off the crossbar, it was the kind of goal that can define a title race. But here's the thing about this Barcelona team. They don't make things easy for themselves. Even after taking the lead, there was this nervous energy about their play. Every Las Palmas attack had the Barcelona defense looking shaky. There was a particular moment where they had to throw bodies on the line to defend a free kick, and it was proper heart-and-mouth stuff. This wasn't the commanding Barcelona performance we've come to expect over the years. This was a team hanging on, desperately trying to protect a one-goal lead against a side they really should be dominating. The changes started coming thick and fast as we entered the final 20 minutes. Las Palmas threw on Campana, Fuster, and Mata, a clear statement of intent from the home side. They weren't about to roll over, even with Barcelona leading. And speaking of Barcelona, let's talk about Rafinha for a moment. Despite the team's overall patchy performance, this guy was absolutely everywhere. He was creating chances, tracking back, and generally being a constant thorn in Las Palmas' side. There was this brilliant moment in the 88th minute where he slipped this absolutely delicious through ball to Torres. The weight on it was perfect. The timing was perfect. Everything about it screamed goal. But Celesin, who's been around the block a few times and knows a thing or two about Barcelona, was off his line like a shot. It was the kind of goalkeeping that reminds you why he's had such a solid career. Then we hit the 80-minute mark, and suddenly, drama. Pure, unadulterated La Liga drama. There's this massive appeal for handball against Garcia, and let me tell you, the home crowd went absolutely berserk. The Las Palmas players were convinced, so convinced that Alex Suarez talked himself into the book for his protests. When the referee jogged over to the monitor, you could feel the tension in the stadium. It was one of those moments where everything hangs in the balance. But here's where it gets interesting. There was an offside in the build-up. When the decision came through, the Barcelona players celebrated like they'd scored a goal. And can you blame them? At this point in the season, every point is precious, and decisions like these can make or break a title challenge. The game was crying out for someone to put it to bed, and in the end, it was Torres who delivered the knockout blow. But let's rewind to how it happened, because this goal was all about Rafinha again. In the 90th minute +5, with legs heavy and minds tired, he still had the presence of mind to pick out Torres in the box. And what Torres did next was just the way he flicked it up for himself and crashed it in off the underside of the bar. That's the kind of goal that makes you fall in love with football all over again. You know what really caught my eye, though? The tactical chess match between the managers. Flick's substitutions were spot on. Bringing on De Jong for Pedri and Torres for Yamal showed he understood exactly what the game needed. Fresh legs, sure, but also players who could help Barcelona maintain possession and pose a threat on the counter. It was game management 101, and it worked perfectly. 8 minutes of added time felt like an eternity for Barcelona. And you could see why. Las Palmas were throwing everything but the kitchen sink at them. There was this moment where a free kick was pinging around the Barcelona box like a pinball machine, and you could almost hear the collective intake of breath from the away supporters. But somehow, they managed to weather the storm. Let's be honest here, this wasn't a vintage Barcelona performance. Not by a long shot. But you know what? Sometimes these are the games that define a title-winning season. It's not always about the beautiful football, the flowing moves, the highlight reel goals. Sometimes it's about grinding out results when you're not at your best, about finding a way to win when everything seems to be going against you. Hansi Flick will have plenty to think about after this one. The first half performance was concerning, to say the least. The lack of penetration, the disjointed passing, the vulnerability at the back, these are all issues that need addressing if Barcelona are serious about winning La Liga this season. But on the flip side, they showed character. They showed resilience, and, most importantly, they showed they can win ugly when they need to. Special mention has to go to Yamal today. This kid, I mean, what can you say? The way he took on defenders, the intelligence of his movement, the maturity of his decision making. It's easy to forget how young he is. That assist for the first goal was the kind of play that makes you sit up and take notice. He's not just a prospect anymore. He's becoming a genuine game changer for Barcelona. And let's not forget about Las Palmas in all of this. They might have ended up on the losing side, but they gave Barcelona one hell of a scare. The way they pressed, the way they controlled the midfield for long periods, the chances they created. This was not the performance of a team that's going to roll over for anyone. They've already beaten Barcelona once this season, and based on today's showing, they're going to cause problems for plenty of other teams before the season's out. Looking at the bigger picture, this is the kind of win that could prove crucial come the end of the season. Barcelona are back at the summit of La Liga, but they'll need to improve if they want to stay there. The title race is far from over, and performances like the first half today won't cut it against the other top teams. For now, though, Barcelona will take the 3 points and run. Sometimes in football, that's all that matters. They'll know they got away with one today, but in a title race this tight, they'll take wins any way they can get them. This has been Across the Pitch. Over and out.